We are so thankful, brothers and sisters, to be part of this congregation. I am extra thankful for being given the privilege, brother, the house light, because I would like to see you. Being given the opportunity to come here, visit you, and share not just the ministry but the word. You know, Lulu noticed that I was so uptight. I was so stressed out before 9 in the morning. I just started loosening up during the time of worship. Thank you very much. Because I look at this situation now for me sharing the word as kind of a source of anxiety. I have been preaching since I was 14. I'm now 52. And still, I have these butterflies in my stomach whenever I preach the word, especially this time. I have not seen you for a year. I praise the Lord for being given the opportunity. I preached in the north last Sunday. My jet lag was so severe that I didn't know what I was talking about. I was saying, I don't know if they got the message or they appreciate the message. But then, this time, I thank you, Pastor Steve, Pastor Mike, for giving me the honor and the privilege. You know, this, including in the north, this would be my 6th time to preach for the past 12 months. 6th time only. I only preached in the Philippines 4 times. I've been declining invitations left and right because I was telling them, our ministry is to be in the background to push up people. We are not in the forefront. That's why even in the church cross-trains, that ministry that we attend every Sunday, where also I coach the pastors, I told them, okay, I'm the coach, but you're the players. Okay, do your thing. So I haven't even preached in that church, even once. But they told me, when we come back, during the church anniversary in September, I will be preaching. And I have to say, yes, okay, I will do it. So it's understandable that I'm so anxious. I haven't had a lot of practice in preaching, brother, Pastor Mike, okay? So, and there's still residual jet lag. It was so severe, I could hardly cope, you know. But I praise the Lord for the opportunity. And I asked Pastor Mike and also Pastor Steve a topic. I don't just like to preach on anything that is not very relevant to the church. And they gave me the topic on 1 Corinthians 9, 19 to 27. Eagerly choosing training in order to be effective. You have your bulletin with you? If you don't have a bulletin, please raise your hand so that the ushers could approach you and give you a copy. Because I won't be using the projector, okay? So anyone else, the ushers are there, okay? And you can follow me. Follow the message in the outline that has been provided in the inside page. Eagerly choosing training in order to be effective. I would like us to open our Bibles to 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Starting from verse 19. And we'll be looking especially at verses 24 to 27. But I would like us to look at verses 19 through 23 first. It says here, 1 Corinthians 9, 19 to 23. Though I am free and belong to no man, I make myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To the Jews I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law, I became like one not having the law, though I am not free from God's law, but under Christ's law, so as to win those not having the law. Look at this. To the weak, I became weak, to win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessing. You know, for Paul, The goals of life were to glorify God and bring people to Christ. That was the goal of life for him. Glorifying Christ, glorifying God by leading people to Jesus Christ. We visited the EBAS middle of this week, and it was a great time. And Pastor Mike showed us a cube. I have heard of this cube being done. I look at Facebook, and I look at SDCF going to Del Mar and sharing the good news of salvation. Wonderful. That was a wonderful thing to do. A wonderful event. Not just in the personal life, but in the life of the church. And Pastor Mike showed us this cube. I forgot to bring with me because he gave us several cubes, okay? Gospel cubes. But then, it's just parang a la Rubik cube, okay? And it has pictures, and it presents the good news of salvation to everyone who dare to listen. Pastor Rick, okay, Elder Rick, has this in his pocket. Wonderful. Always ready. You know, you can present the gospel using this small thing. This is an evangelistic tool. And that is wonderful. I commend the church. I commend Pastor Mike for doing this, because there will always be anniversaries. SDCF will continue to live, won't die until Christ returns, when evangelism is being done in the church and through the church. When evangelism dies out, the church dies at the same time. So I praise the Lord, because evangelism is, for some, a way of life here. And that's the point of Paul. If you look at this, he said in verse 22, "To the weak I became weak to win the weak. I become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessing." Let me return this to you. I might put this in my pocket and forget all about it. For Paul, his life goals were to glorify God and to bring people to Jesus. Now, what does it take to be like Paul in this perspective? And in verses 24 through 27, we find here four things. Four important things, four important elements, virtues, or steps that we have to take, or that we have to have in order for us to be successful in this. Four things that start with the letter D. The first one, if you look at 1 Corinthians 9:24, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." Now look at this. The context is about Paul being all kinds to all men in order to save them, in order to lead them to Jesus Christ. And that is the specific context here, immediate context. And he said that as an illustration, he used the runner. Okay. "Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." The first thing, what does it take? It takes determination. Determination. Paul had in mind the marathon. As some of you have ran the marathon, 26 miles. And you know, the original marathon, it's a place, it was a destination, okay? The soldier ran in order to present to the king the good news that they won, okay? He ran 26 miles, more than 26 miles of rough terrain, of rolling hills, not the flat lands or not the asphalted pathway that we use in the present for marathon. So it's maybe more just like, for example, the Ironman, okay? But it was grueling. You should be determined to finish, not just start, but finish the race. You know, Paul had in mind, when using this illustration, he had in mind that people who are in a race, people who have started the steps of a Christian life should have the mentality of a champion, of a finisher, of a champion, not the second place. He will never settle for second place or second best for his life. God would always want us to experience the best, not the second best. And this person who has this kind of determination goes for that, goes for the prize. You know, in running, Matt has been running. That's why he's so thin. You know, he's not so thin right now. But then, before we left, he's so buffed, you know. But now he's a little bit, you know, he got to gain some more weight, man. Okay? But he has been running. But you know, just like in marathon, Boston Marathon, there is before the finish line, there's an uphill climb. It's an incline. And many runners would hit the so-called wall. They hit the wall. They could barely, put their leg, they could barely walk, much more run. And some of them stop. You know, in running, the principle is this. When you run, don't walk. The moment you walk, you won't be able to gain any more momentum. If you're a runner, that's the mentality. Maybe the pace is not that, not that fast, but don't stop running. You've got to continue running. You've got to be determined. It might be an incline, but you've got to continue running. Don't stop. That's the mentality of a finisher. That's the mentality of a champion. And Paul said, be determined. Run in such a way as to get the prize. Be determined. There are a lot of things that could hinder us. There are a lot of hurdles along the way. But in the life of a Christian, especially a life of a Christian which has been focused on bringing people to Jesus Christ, you know, there is no hindrance, hurdles that is so high or that's so big to stop him from doing what God intends for him to accomplish. Determination. The second, in 1 Corinthians 9:25, everyone who completes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. You look at this. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. Now, we're talking about the Olympics, the ancient Olympics. There were several games. There are much more games right now in the modern Olympics, Olympic Games. But you know, that's always the perspective. I would be a part of this race. I would be a part of this game. And before I enter the stadium, I've got to be prepared. And strict training definitely would be the name of the game. Who would like to go through training? No, I don't know. I don't like to say no one in his right mind would like to go through training, okay? Because I know a lot of people who loves training. Training and education are similar, but they are different. Education is a lifetime. But when you go for training, you are training for a specific thing, a specific task. Okay? For example, a bodybuilder would train so that his muscle groups would be fully developed, optimum development. A runner would be training so that his cardio would definitely be adequate and his muscles would be prepared. Okay? A weightlifter would be lifting weights. Training is always specific. Education is basically general and it goes throughout our lifetime. But training is very specific. Now, people have been preached at about, hey, got to share the good news. There was a certain guy in Florida. He started the church, or he pastored the church around 11 or 18. And he said, this church is dying. We've got to do something. And that something is evangelism. He started preaching on evangelism, but nothing happened. How come people are not evangelizing? And he had been preaching for Sunday after Sunday. Nothing is happening. Preaching is not the key. Training is the key. He formulated the so-called EE, Evangelism Explosion. And I still use that. And my certificate was actually signed by Dr. James Kennedy, because we were the second batch in the Philippines in 1977 to finish the course. I lost it. It's somewhere. Maybe that's God's way for me not to brag, okay? We got to be humble, okay? It's not who gave you the certificate. Are you using the skill that you have developed? That's the question. But the point is, when he started this program, Evangelism Explosion, and the point is training the 11, training the 18, training the 30, the church blossomed. The church grew. And in the Presbyterian Church, Fort Lauderdale Church has become the model. And it still is. Even though Dr. James Kennedy is already dead, is already in heaven, the church continues on because of the strength that has been developed. Strict training is very, very important. You know, if some of you don't like the cover, blame me. I've been doing the program for SDCF for the past year, but this is my last Sunday. So Pastor Mike or another person would be doing that starting next Sunday. But when I look at strict training, I always have a picture of Pacquiao in my mind. If you don't know Pacquiao this day, what should I say? He has become an international icon, a superstar, well-known all over. He's a very good athlete, the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world, bar none. I don't know if you're a Mayweather fan, okay? He does not want to face Pacquiao. That's my thinking. But you know, whenever I look at Pacquiao in his training, I always say to myself, that's why he's successful. That's why he's successful. His trainer, Freddie Roach, was voted as the best trainer of the year for 4 consecutive times. But he always say, I got lucky. I got me an excellent fighter. He makes me look good. And that's the case. But Pacquiao was never like that before. He was a one-dimension fighter until he met Roach. That's why Roach must receive some accolades all at the same time. Both of them do the tango so well, you know, and they are unbeatable in the present. That's why Mayweather is so afraid, okay? But the point is, we've got to have the next C, discipline. Discipline. You know, discipline is something that is so sometimes maybe overrated for some. Or some people would say, I am disciplined, but actually not. But you know something in training, in whatever training, if it is a game, if it is a sport, you train because the specialists would say, your muscles have memory. Your muscles have memory. Okay? Even in boxing, okay, I would like to spar with Pacquiao for 1 second. I'll do that and then get out of the ring, okay? Or else I'm going to die. But then, you know, how come they do a lot of those? Because of muscle memory, okay? It's basically instinctive. It's part of you being, instinctive, intuition or instinct, okay? You've got to know what to do in certain situation or circumstance. That's why they do the job, okay? I like this combination. Job, right cross, okay? You dodge that. Here's my left uppercut, you dodge that. Here's my right hook. Okay, Mayweather would fall. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. How's that, Gerald? That's good. But then, that's muscle memory. But at the same time, in evangelism, you can be very rusty. That's why you've got to go into strict training and have the mentality of a finisher, or Pastor Mike, of a closer. You've got to close the deal. When you present the gospel, you've got to expect that you will be able to close the deal. And it takes a lot of doing, a lot of practice for us to accomplish this. How come some are effective? Because they have been doing this. They have been in the strict training mode. But you know something I like this. Athletes go into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. Laurel leaves. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Brother Louis shared the good news. I was there in the pool when Brother Rick baptized him around 2 years ago. Brother Rick presented to him the good news, and just like Paul was saying, "You are my crown, my eternal crown, because the people that you led to the Lord, you will see them in heaven." These are very much unlike the trophies that rust. These are the trophies that would last for eternity. These are the crowns, the medals that we would see in heaven for all eternity. So if we go into strict training in a certain sport, how much more we go into strict training whenever we do something that is with eternal significance. Just like leading people to Jesus Christ.